Hey girl.
Hey mama.
Ready to get unschooled?
Totally.
Welcome to Moms Unschooled,
where we break down all the things from the mundane to the magnificent, so you can think for yourself and do what's right for you.
Hey Erin.
Hey there.
I have some first world problems I need to get unschooled about.
Lay it out there.
All right. Travel planning, traveling with family, traveling with small humans, all those things. I know traveling is a luxury, and that's why I say it's a total first world problem. So I need to check my privilege, as they say. And being in Europe as a military family, I swear the question of the day or weekend or whatever is usually, where's your next trip? Where are you going? Where have you been since you've been here? Have you been to Budapest? Have you been here? And you, I feel like, are the travel queen, and you, A, just got back from a girls' trip, and B, you are leaving today, or tomorrow, I'm sorry. Tomorrow for a trip. So tell me your kind of travel planning process and how you do it, because I feel like I spend tons of time, way too much time, researching, trying to make the trip exactly what it, quote, should be, whatever that means. And it can be way too stressful in the end that by the time I'm on the trip, I'm just like, okay, this is enough. So how do you do this process?
Okay, let's bring this because this is totally my jam. Once again, star emojis out of my eyeballs. Okay, travel planning with my family of 5. Now I've got a 8-year-old daughter, 7-year-old, and 4-year-old sons. And my kids have become total travel rock stars. They grow into it, and I can talk about that a little bit. We, as a family, I am the planner. My husband goes to work and does lots of planning and makes lots of decisions, and early on we decided he wants to come home and make no decisions, and he supports me where I want to go. Sweet, sweet man. If you're listening, hi, hon.
He better be. I mean, what else? Come on now.
Literally, he has come home on an all-night flight. I pick him up at the airport and I drive straight to Belgium. He just has dealt with me and my crazy planning and vacationing. I wouldn't call them vacations here. I call them more adventures.
Yes.
I tell the kids all the time, this is not a vacation. It's an adventure because it's part of the process. Mom and Dad have never gone to these places before. We don't know where we're going to park our American-sized minivan. We don't know if restaurants are going to be open when all of a sudden we're hungry and ready to eat.
And that doesn't stress you out?
No.
Was there ever a time when it stressed you out? Or you were always have been pretty like, hey, let's just show up, see what we find, and call it a day?
Well, I think early on in our travel experiences here in Europe, we didn't know to be concerned about it. All of a sudden...
Surprise!
Right, because it's an adventure.
You need to go to the bathroom? Too bad. You got to find where you can use a bathroom, how much you got to have the right coins on you.
Oh, absolutely. And I've even stayed in Airbnbs, I kid you not, that had no toilet paper. We had to go figure that out ourselves.
Are you supposed to bring your own?
I had no idea. Okay. That's not usually something they preface in the amenities.
Oh my
yet
gosh.
I digress.
Okay.
So all of a sudden we're pulling into a pretty big city in Europe and realize we booked an Airbnb or we reserved a hotel room, but didn't know we were going to have to park a mile away at an outdoor parking facility for €20 a day.
Yep.
Now we know that's something we don't want to deal with on the fly when we're getting into town at 11 o'clock at night. We're going to book this place that says free parking on site right outside your front door.
Right.
So it was just kind of issues we didn't even know we had. And now that we're becoming a little savvy and veteran, if you will, we know to look for those things that will just make our trip go a little more smoothly and a little more seamlessly.
Okay. And when you're trip planning, how much do you incorporate specific kid-friendly activities? And I don't mean kid-friendly like when I look at some of these lists that's like kid-friendly, take him to the museum. That is fine depending on your kid, right? It has to be something super interactive that he can touch for my son.
Yes.
Like when we were, this is not in Europe, but when we were in 29 Palms, we went to the Air Museum in Palm Springs because everyone was like, oh, it's great for kids. It's great for kids. It is, except for you cannot touch anything.
So it's not great for kids.
No, not my kid. So the whole time I was so nervous. And they just have the planes out there because part of the museum is actually still used as a hangar. And these people who restore old planes just fix them up and go fly and things like that. And they just kind of like park them. Kind of like Motor World here, by the way, where people store like Ferraris, all this stuff. And they're just sitting out there. I got super anxious the first time we went to Motor World because you can like lean over and touch $500,000 car. And
Lamborghini.
I'm like, ah! So, okay, how much do you incorporate specific child activities when you're trip planning?
I try to do kind of a 1-for-1.
Okay.
So if I want to, oh, by the way, we don't do museums, period.
Okay.
Unless it's a children's hands-on museum, Thrasher Crew ain't going.
Okay.
I would rather go to amusement parks than museums. So the idea of keeping my children's attention span and reading placards to them on what they're looking at, it doesn't even appeal to me. I lied. We did do the Spy Museum in Berlin.
But that's supposed to be somewhat interactive, right?
Supposedly. It's not. The only thing we went
Liars.
for was...
Liars!
was the laser room where you have to do the shifting through the laser so you don't get tagged. And then you get your hand on the wall and that means you succeeded. What's that movie I'm thinking of?
Mission Impossible, right?
Entrapment.
I have not seen it.
Is that the one?
Okay.
I'll have to get back to you on that. But the kids loved like sliding through the lasers. The
But
rest
that was
of it,
it.
psh, they couldn't have cared less about espionage.
Interesting.
I digress. So I try to do 1-for-1. So if I want to go see, I don't know.
Do like a 45-minute tour of the Brandenburg Gate in Berlin or something.
Okay, let's say, I don't even do that stuff. If I want to walk through the Brandenburg Gate and the
Holocaust Memorial that's there.
Exactly, which I did. I need to find out how I'm going to pacify them the rest of the day.
Right.
And that could be anything from gelato to playgrounds.
Okay.
They don't care. They want to throw rocks in a pond. And we're going to sit there and do that for an hour.
Right. That's smart.
So we let them get their wiggles out. A lot of times if it's a road trip, we take our scooters and just little foot-propelled scooters for them. And then my husband and I obviously walk and let them just kind of run rampant. Now, some places in Europe are a little bit more friendly to children than others, but we've just kind of learned to ignore the stink eye and let them have at it as long as they're safe. So I tend to find the biggest playground in Berlin, or we're going to go this time and spend 2 nights on the coast, but it has a pool too.
Right.
So
you're considering those things when you make the booking decision.
Absolutely.
I have to tell you, so we were recently also in Berlin. And we went to the Holocaust Memorial, and my son's 6, so you can explain things to them in age-appropriate terms about there was someone who was really bad and wanted power and hurt a bunch of people, blah, blah. So the only time while we were at the Holocaust Memorial, he just kept saying how it looked like Minecraft and was like, at first I was like kind of mortified and I was like, oh dear, but
it kind of does.
Then he made up like his own little game and he was walking along, and Tracy and I, my husband, we did a tour with this company called With Locals, which I love because it's like always just one-on-one, and we got to like listen, but we could entertain him at the same time. And no, is he going to necessarily remember the full meaning of it right now at 6 years old? No, but maybe he might look back later and be like, oh yeah, I've been there before. And then he'll realize the magnanimity of it later and stuff like that.
The Minecraft place.
Yeah.
What does that actually stand for?
We're totally not advocating to call it that. But yeah, that's how he connect to it.
If he connects to it, then he may very well likely go research, well, what exactly was that there for? Type in memorials in Berlin and it comes up, and an entire education might occur.
And at that square by the Brandenburg Gate, it was so funny. He thinks the coffee shop is Starbucks. And so our tour guide was talking about all these like important buildings on the square of where the Brandenburg Gate is. And like there's the U.S. Embassy, there's a super famous hotel, which turns out was the hotel. She told me, I didn't even know. It's not like we were trying to go there. It's the hotel where Michael Jackson, remember, dangled his baby out the window?
Yes!
It's like the most expensive hotel in Berlin, and they were the only place that had air conditioning, so later I was dying and went in and bought like an $8 Coca-Cola just so I could sit in the thing. But in any case, so there's all these historic things on the square, And then you know what else is on the square is a Starbucks. And it was just so funny that a little piece of him felt like home because he was like, oh, there's the coffee shop and there's the American Embassy. So you're right. One day he might have a broader perspective or an interesting way to remember those kinds of things.
And we as the mamas, we have pictures of them at every memorial or landmark or pretty late. They're going to look back and say, where was this? And we had this conversation and education all over again. It's a win-win.
Love
they may
it.
not remember it. We get to, regurgitate some of that information for ourselves again and just tell them the story, which ultimately they love to hear stories about themselves. Anyway,
That's true. That's
so
true.
Win-win.
I love it. I'm so glad talking to you every time you go on a trip because I think it shows people that, yeah, you can go, you can have fun even with 3 kids. Just go and enjoy yourself as best you can.
My little man is 4. And we moved here when he wasn't quite 3. We have never taken a stroller. We don't take a backpack for him to carry him in. We've taken a backpack one time on any of our trips we've gone on, and it's because he had surgery 2 days before.
And you're still going on the trip.
Oh, no, Mama's going on the trip. I'll give you a ride once in a while, honey.
That's awesome.
But no, I mean, they just learn to keep up. We let them jump on curbs, and they think bike racks are something to go in, under, over, through. And my kids will say, everything's a playground, and that's how they see Europe. Things
That's
to climb
cool.
on. And hey, if it pacifies the masses, that's how we roll.
Okay. What cool memories. I'm glad you pointed that out about whether to like bring the backpack, not, things like that. Because I was looking through a list of travel tips for families and I wanted to kind of get your perspective on it because you guys have been such experienced travelers here. So the first one, they say, take it slow and leave plenty of time. When traveling with your family, everything will take longer than you expect, including checking in at the airport, getting through security, buying snacks and drinks, and boarding the plane. So how scheduled out are you? Do you like to go from thing to thing, or do you leave yourself plenty of time?
Well, especially a road trip, if it says it's going to take 6 hours to get there, we're going to allow more like 8 or 9. First of all, I drive like a grandma.
You do?
No offense, grannies.
Okay.
I'm a
I
total
almost
grandma
fell
driver.
off of the chair. I don't know why that was so surprising to me.
Maybe that is kind of interesting,
Okay.
surprising. But yeah, I'm a granny driver.
Okay.
And we, isn't that funny? Take a lot of potty breaks. We
Yeah.
always stop for a cooler lunch in the back. We always pack our own food because we don't have Chick-fil-A at every exit here, y'all. And even on like a walking day through a city, I distinctly remember walking through Prague and it said from point A to point B was going to take us 5 minutes. 45 minutes later, I kid you not.
Stop. Did
we
you have
walked
like
there.
the driving or like take a supersonic jet icon checked instead of like the walking directions?
No, and I wish that was what had happened. I will never forget that day because that's how we account for our days. Now, through like COVID and Corona, we've had to be a little bit more scheduled because
Okay.
you have to buy tickets for things in advance and things sell out for X, Y, and Z. So the itinerary, we like to have something planned every day just as a something to look forward to. Mm-hmm. But we allow plenty of time
Okay,
to
so
get
plenty
there.
of time. So you agree with that. Number 2, it says don't overpack. Families have a tendency to pack everything kids use at home, bring familiar items to keep their routines consistent, but don't bring anything you don't really need.
No, the only thing I'd say to that is if it's a road trip, bring just like a tiny tote with you, Mama, as a surprise bag.
Okay,
So
so
a
just
sticker book or random Pokemon cards that they haven't seen in a minute and bring some of that newness back so they can sit quietly at a restaurant.
okay. I'm curious what you think about this one. It says explain the trip. Introducing kids to the trip ahead of time is especially important for first-time travelers. When kids are uncomfortable, they aren't happy. If there are too many new things going on, kids tend to get uncomfortable. But I think that's different for every kid.
I think so.
How do you prep, or do you at all, your kids for like, we're going here, this is what the plan, or you're just like, we're going on an adventure, pack your...
A little bit of both.
Stuff.
I try to let them know where we're headed. We may look it up on the map. I might tell them what I'm hoping to do, all the while letting them know it's an adventure and that may not happen.
I love that. Okay.
And so my kids have kind of grown to just be go with the flow.
Awesome. Next one you kind of talked about. I love the heading of this. Number 5. Snacks. Always have snacks available for your kids. So you mentioned, yes, travel in Europe is a little different as far as you really don't know where the next place that you can really stop as a family is going to be. It's not like, okay, every other exit, unless you're on the Autobahn kind of, but it's not like every other exit there's going to be McDonald's. You know you can pee, you know you can get whatever. So you mentioned your little cooler lunch. What are we packing in the Thrasher van?
We always have Hawaiian roll ham sandwiches.
Okay.
Always. We have their Benko boxes full of dry food snacks that they can eat in their car seats. So I usually throw them in the car, in their jammies, and then I hand them back breakfasty foods.
Okay.
In their car seats. So we're already moving forward to our destination. And then if they're starting to get a little antsy, then I hand them their Benko box snack. And they know something always totally amazing is going to be in there. Whether it's like fruit by the foot, don't you judge me, y'all, or some snack that they've never seen before, or like a candy ring pop, something is cool in there.
Oh, I like that.
And that pacifies them for just an hour and a half longer until it's lunchtime, and then you can stop.
Awesome.
So yeah, plenty of snacks. And then I also have them for the day trips. And then the restaurants, they're always getting goldfish while they wait on their food. I have a bag of snacks everywhere I go.
Awesome. Okay. This one I don't really feel comfortable with. It says ask for child discounts. I mean, I could see if you're going, you mentioned you like going to amusement parks and stuff. Okay, I get ahead of time like looking to seeing if there's like a student or kids under normal places, like even museums, even if you're not going to them, will say kids under 6 free or whatever. So no, we don't need to ask for child discounts.
Nope.
Number 8, I need to work on this, but you've kind of addressed this. Except things will go wrong. It says this point can't be overstated, so we'll address this again. And then in all bold, it says, when you travel with kids, things will go wrong.
Indeed.
Do you have any examples of something that has gone wrong? I remember one time we almost lost Daniel at the Frankfurt train station. So that was fun. What about you?
Oh my. Well, there's just always hiccups. There's no toilet paper in the Airbnb. Or you don't have parking and you have to improvise. My husband is really good at figuring it out on the fly. I'm kind of the tightly wound one of the bunch, and he's just even keel. He just can make things work. And so it's really comforting to travel with him, I think. He makes it easy, and he's really good at making things work and figuring it out.
That's great.
And yeah, but things do go wrong, and I can't think of one for the life of me.
That's okay. I mean, and one that comes to mind for me, and because this article even says it, they say, maybe your little one has to go to the bathroom and you end up missing a bus. I remember we were in Iceland and we were on a bus tour and we had stopped to get off at this square and you had like 45 minutes of free time. And I swear the bus was, you had to be back to the bus in like 2 minutes. And Daniel was like, I have to poo. And again, it's not like, oh, let me just walk into this Starbucks real quick and use the bathroom. So I had to find this cafe. I had to buy something because that's just how they roll here.
Yes.
So I quickly ordered a hot chocolate, which I appreciated later, but in the moment I thought she was going to like pour it and I'd be at the door. They like shave down the chocolate, weigh the cocoa beans for density. I don't know if they're really doing all that, but it was delicious, by the way, but it took forever.
Right.
But meanwhile, so Daniel's like in the bathroom, and if like any other kid, probably, he's not just going in there to do his business and get out. He's singing Pokemon songs. So like the rest of the cafe can hear this in Iceland. I can see the bus loading from across the square. And I don't want to rush him, but in my head I'm like, okay, you ready to wipe your bottom? Let's go. Da, da, da. Meanwhile, thinking like, all right, if we get on the bus, I can dump this hot chocolate, and if he still has to go to the bathroom, he can go in the cup. Just stuff like that. So we made it. We barely made it on the bus somehow, and he got to go to the bathroom. But what do you do? I guess I would have sent out my husband, Tracy, to be like, hang on, there's a child in the bathroom. They would have had to wait for us, right?
Yes, I think it would have been one of those instances where my husband had one foot on the bus step and the other one on the ground. Like, you will wait for me. But see, we have no shame either.
Ooh,
this needs to happen in our moral ethical code. This is right, and you would do right by thinking this is right.
Love it. Some of these are more basic. It's keep track of your child, number 9. Got it. Give kids your contact information. check. Travel with basic medicines. I understand that because it's really hard to kind of, especially overseas with any sort of language barrier, bring appropriate documentation, stuff like that. One thing I didn't think about, and I think we're both very grateful that we don't have to worry about this, is thinking about how to communicate special needs such as food allergies or things like that in a local language.
Sure.
None of your kids have like food allergies and stuff.
Thankfully.
I mean, I can't imagine all the just different kinds of nuts that they use and all the baked goods here, or trying to communicate gluten-free or vegan or whatever it is. Half the time I don't know what meat I'm eating here.
Good call.
So that would probably be stressful. Bring toys and books. You touched on that, bringing some little favorite stuff. This is one I could potentially see your daughter doing. It says offer travel journals to older kids. Have them like bring a little journal and write about their day.
We have that. They all have a little notebook that we take everywhere we go.
Okay.
And generally we give it to them at a restaurant while we're waiting on food to keep them occupied. And they write about what they did that day, or they draw a picture of the castle we saw. My 4-year-old scribbles and tells us what his picture is. I remember Vera being so surprised how nice the Italians were.
Aww.
And I'll keep this little notebook forever because there's sentences in there talking about how good the pizza is and how nice the Italians are.
That's so awesome. That's really cool.
So just it's a notebook for them to be free to put whatever they need to do, but man alive, is it going to be a mama keepsake?
Love it. This one says bring a spare outfit.
Yeah.
Then it says bottom line. Wet and smelly is no way to travel for you or your child. I would agree. We have been in one instance where my son has been potty trained for a long time. You just don't think about always packing a spare outfit per se. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but I vividly remember him driving home 6 hours in just his underwear.
Sure.
So.
Sure. Wet wipes are always in my day pack.
Oh, yes.
And
yes.
we have what I call the emergency kit in the back of my van.
What do you put in that?
So it's a first aid kit, it's extra bottles of water, it's sunscreen, it's Tylenol, it's extra change of clothes, probably 2 extra pairs of socks, an umbrella, ponchos, anything I could be out even on a little day trip and say, man alive, I wish I had that right now.
So do you just put that all in a huge backpack?
It is in a plastic bin and it just sits in my car.
So that's the problem I have is like, what if you're going to be away from the car for like a good 10 hours.
Right. Well, then I'm going to take what I am thinking and hoping I'll need. Sunscreen, Tylenol, always wet wipes, and snacks.
Yes. Okay.
And water. I never rely on other people to give me water here.
And I'm sorry, I am done and I'm overpaying like €4 for 12 ounces of water.
I never do.
And
I always take our own water bottles in restaurants, and I've never been yelled at.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, I think that's a good balance of things to keep in mind. So you are going on a trip soon. Are you packing today for the next day departure?
Yes.
Okay.
Packing and cooking because we are tent camping.
Oh, you are?
And the idea is we and another family are going to cook all of our own food so we don't have to pay expensive prices.
This sounds like a crazy risk-adverse adventure that you would have to drag me into because I will love... we have to do a follow-up family camping episode. That's like what... It's hard enough to be with my family in a hotel. I don't know if being out in the woods would be... Are you glamping or more camping?
Oh, no, it's tent camping.
Tent camping.
We do have electrical hookup, so I can take a crock pot.
Okay.
That's about it.
Love it. I can't wait to see pictures, and I hope you enjoy your trip.
Happy travels!
Thanks for listening to Moms Unschooled.
Subscribe on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, or email us at momsunschooled@gmail.com. Choopsie!